Pastor Melo reveals the mystery of Moses' name. Brothers and sisters away in Osiemi, Pastor Melo speaking. As far as we can go back in time, the name of Moses has always constituted an enigma for biblical scholars, theologians, historians, philosophers, and even archaeologists. The fact that this name remains an unsolved mystery raises one question: the question of the usurpation of the culture of a people by another people. To better illustrate our point, we will take the example of the deciphering of hieroglyphic writing by the French linguist Jean-François Champollion. Jean-François Champollion was a French linguist and scholar who is credited with deciphering the Rosetta Stone. The Rosetta Stone is a slab of black basalt inscribed with a decree issued at Memphis in 196 before Christ in three scripts: Greek, Egyptian hieroglyphs, and Egyptian demotic. The Greek text was well understood, but the other two scripts were completely unknown. Champollion was able to crack the code of the hieroglyphs using the Greek text and his knowledge of Coptic, the last stage of the ancient Egyptian language, and he published his findings in 1822. This was a major breakthrough in the field of Egyptology and made it possible to read and understand ancient Egyptian texts for the first time in over 1,000 years. I'm always amazed by the naivety of the world. How many times have I not heard people tell me that the pharaohs were not black but white because they were necessarily in the image of the current Egyptians, i.e. the Arabs. The mere fact that these Arabs were never able to read the hieroglyphs supposedly invented by their ancestors is proof that the prestigious civilization of the pyramids cannot be attributed to them. This is the reason why it 1,300 years after the arrival of the Arabs, for a foreigner, a Frenchman, to allow them to read their own writing. The same is true of the mystery surrounding the name of Moses. Moses can be considered the father of the nation of Israel. He is the Old Testament equivalent of Christ in the New Testament. This shows his top importance for the three Abrahamic religions, namely Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Judaizers call him Moshe, Christians Moses, and Muslims Musa. The three languages involved here are Hebrew, Greek, and Arabic. The problem that arises here is that none of the aforementioned languages has the requisites to give the meaning of the name of Moses for the following reason. It is well known that the mother who gave birth to Moses was forced to take him to the Nile, and eventually the name given to him by this biological mother, who was Hebrew, before this forced abandonment was never referenced in any ancient text. What we call here the name of Moses is, according to the Bible and everywhere else, the name given to him by the famous Egyptian princess who then took in this child and adopted him. Biblical reference text, Exodus chapter 2, verses 1 to 10, not only gives this name, it also gives its origin and etymological meaning. The Egyptian princess who takes in Moses explains why she gives this particular name to her child. Yet, strangeness of size, this etymology, however explicit, is absolutely not reconcilable with Hebrew. This simply means that the meaning of the name of Moses must be sought not in Hebrew, but in ancient Egyptian. In each century, we therefore find intellectuals who recall and underline this inadequacy and have done so for several millennia. And some of the oldest historians and analysts of the Bible had already affirmed loud and clear 2,000 years ago that the name of Moses had long since undergone a modification. These disorders come from the structure of the sentence of the matter of Moses and from the very logic of the etymological functioning. Logic which forces here to consider that this woman refers to a name decomposable in two terms. The name of Moses must therefore once have been composed of two different words, two distinct parts, elements which were once affirmed in unison. Atheists and believers alike, as well as ancient authors of all faiths, agree on the point that the name that has come down to us, Moses, Musa, is very short. The name Moshe, in fact, cannot be broken down into two distinct and relevant terms in Hebrew. Therefore, no linguist has ever managed to provide a credible interpretation of this name. Starting from this language, or even from the oldest spoken Semitic Hebrew, Phoenician, or Proto-Canaanite languages, the name that has come down to us is therefore impossible to reconcile with the etymology that is given in the Bible, forcing us to conceive that the text and history were betrayed on this point, and that one of the two parts of this name could well have disappeared. So, of course, if you open any dictionary or search engine today to inquire about this nominal meaning, you will still find always first the old etymology here. The name Moses in Hebrew is Moshe, and it is derived from the root masha, which means to draw out or to pull out. The name is thought to refer to the circumstances of Moses' birth, where he was drawn out of the Nile River by Pharaoh's daughter. Despite the relationship between the two terms Moshe and Masha, it is clear that we are dealing here with a popular etymology. Let's see the definition. Popular etymology is an analogical process by which the subject speaks by spontaneously and wrongly linking a term or an expression whose form and meaning are opaque to him to another term or expression better understood by him but unrelated. Example, Niger. The name Niger is likely derived from the Berber word Ngr, meaning river or great river, referring to the river Niger which flows through the country. In Acts of the Apostle, chapter 13, verse 1, one of the prophets present is named Simeon Niger because he was presumably African. This term Niger has led the majority of people to think that the country of the same name is so called because it is a country in sub-Saharan Africa. However, despite being homonymous, the two terms have nothing to do with their meaning. You will therefore agree that starting from this definition of popular etymology, the relationship between Moshe and Masha forces us to reject its credibility, especially since this method claims to find the etymological origin of an Egyptian name, which dates at least from the 12th century before Christ, from the word of a language, Hebrew, which only appears several centuries later. Because it must be remembered, the oldest written archaeological trace of a Hebrew still in gestation is a text from the 10th century before Christ. However, the existence of Moses and consequently the exodus from Egypt are older than that. Now, according to the tradition of the Bible itself, Moses lived during the 15th century before Christ, at a time when Hebrew did not yet exist. Scientifically, therefore, it is complete nonsense to agree on a Hebrew etymology in the same way. This view is only supported by old convictions and beliefs which still presuppose that Hebrew is the oldest language in the world, which archaeology has evidently proven to be false for a very long time. In fact, Hebrew is a relatively late language in the history of our civilization. So let's be logical. Let us analyze the name of Moses from its African source. The two names of Moses elucidated by Kikongo, Musi, Musi, Muisi. As you can see, when searching for Musi, the dictionary of Bentley refers to Muishi. All this comes down to spelling conventions. However, Phonetically, the name of Moses can be recognized. The people or nation speaking Kikongo is called Ki-Kongo. An alien, someone from elsewhere, is called Akaka, which reinforces the notion of out of, native of. An angel is called Zulu, from heaven, coming from heaven. A barbarian is someone who comes from the forest, Mfinda. So here we have the first component of the name of Moses, meaning originated from, issued from, derived from, coming from. Very edifying example here. A Jew is Judah, literally from Judah. Citizen is Mwishi. Thus, the aforementioned definition of the word angel would be citizen of the heavens, Mwishi Ezulu. Here, Mwishi takes the meaning of native, born from, confirmed by the birth hieroglyph below that accompanies Moses, Mese, Moses, which constitute the second part of many names of Egyptian pharaohs. A barbarian, already quoted in Kikongo, is one who comes out of the forest, out of the bush, from a wild zone, Mfinda, hence Mwishi Mfinda. Here, we see clearly that Mwishi Congo native of Congo, definition confirmed by the example in Bentley's dictionary. Here, we will break down the second part of the name taken from the waters. We see with Mwishi that the first term of the name of Moses is in fact Mwishi. The second can only mean water or waters, which in Kikongo is Maza or Massa. Here we have an excellent example, as the one here is an excellent example here, since it gives in the Kikongo the four essential elements: earth, Toto, air, Mwela, fire, Tia, and water, Maza or Massa. And finally, among many examples, we chose this one because it is particularly eloquent in the context of our demonstration. Indeed, we see the word Maza for water, but above all, a sentence that marries like a glove the story of Moses sailing in a basket on the Nile and collected by the Egyptian princess, namely Munamaza Katombokela. He was drowned out of the waters. Said in two words, Mushi Maza or Mushi Massa. Consequently, the mystery of the name of the prophet at the origin of the Bible is elucidated here. It is Mushi Maza or Mushi Massa. Viewed through the lens of the sacred Meloitic writing, which, like all ancient writings, contains only consonants, we see a real equation between the two terms, namely MS, MS. Until proven otherwise, no other language, we repeat, no other language, except the sacred language of the Most High Himself, succeeds in this feat. To conclude, we will add another term meaning the beginning, the fountain, the alpha, and which harmonizes with the two above mentioned. Moshi or Mosi, meaning beginning, birth, starting point, number one. Thus, at the beginning, Moshi, Mose in Kikongo, was taken from Moshi, the waters, Maza. Written in Meloitic, as we have mentioned above, it is MS, MS, MS. So, MS 3 times. Conclusion. We have demonstrated in our book, proving that Kikongo is the original language, the most intelligent language in the world, that Moses used the Congo language to write the first page of Genesis, which happens to be also the foundation, the base, the cornerstone of the Bible. What could be more natural than that it is Kikongo, and no other idiom that elucidates the mystery of the name of the one whose name is at the origin of the biblical saga. Actually, Moshi Massa, drawn from the waters. Ingeta, Pastor Melo.
C'est loué, c'est loué, c'est loué.